This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about carpeted fine dining, memory inception, and farmers market embezzlement. All that and more as we watch Season 6, Episode 17 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name is Sophia. I'm one of your hosts, and joining me, as always, is your co-host and my co-brother. What's up, Imran?
Hey, what's happening here? No, I'm asking, what's going on? Hey, a microphone. What? Is this a podcast?
Hey, it's Tony Bennett.
I'm just kidding. I remember what we're doing. You know what else I remember?
What do you remember?
It's your birthday week, sister. Happy birthday.
It is. It's my birthday tomorrow.
Ooh, get out of the city.
Tomorrow
Yes.
from when we're recording.
Tomorrow
When
from
we
when we're
publish
recording.
this, it'll be already passed.
But it'll be your birthday week still.
Yes,
It's fantastic. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You know what else I remember?
What's that?
I posted the original introduction episode
Our first
to
episode.
this podcast, our first intro episode on your birthday in 2020.
Oh.
Happy 3 years
Oh, my
of doing this
goodness.
podcast. That should
Our
have
little-
Out of the city.
And
I share a birthday with the Dance of Joy pod, and
Yeah.
the Dance of Joy pod is 3 years
the
old.
group is exactly 3 years old. The show, it all started at the same time. And a little inside funny fact, listener, we should have been done by now. You do the
We should
math.
have been done. Dance
Took
of
a
Joy
couple
pod wasn't
breaks.
meant to make it to 3.
Well, 150 episodes if we're going every week. But look, life happens.
Yeah, we needed breaks. We're
there's
human.
holidays. It's fine. and
It's
then
fine.
we've just stretched out our enjoyment of the cousins.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, all this would have been done by now. That's going to make you sad. You don't want all this to be
But
done.
here's the thing. We did the math, didn't we? We have about 37
37, 38 episodes
more
left.
episodes. So if we can not take any more breaks, we should be
Yes.
finished by the time the next
Listen, if
October
your
16
if your
rolls around.
Your birthday rolls around again, and we're still doing this. Perfect Strangers. Something
has
horrible
gone
happened.
wrong.
Something has gone wrong. We may be doing something else,
Or we've
but
been discovered by, picked up by Spotify or something and paid a lot of money to keep talking about Perfect Strangers.
we should be technically done with Perfect Strangers before your
All
birthday.
right,
We're going to
listeners,
get there.
We'll see if it happens. In 1 year from now, we should be done.
In the meantime, look,
Yes.
we're deep into season 6.
We are.
Episode 17. This episode titled "Speak Memory." Just like 2
Speak
words.
memory. Speak, comma, memory.
What is
Interesting.
this? What is this?
You don't recognize this?
I'm not much
To
of a
be
reader.
fair, I only barely recognized it, but it
You're smarty pants. You
Speak
should have
Memory
recognized this.
is the title of a memoir
Uh-huh.
written by Vladimir Nabokov.
Nabokov.
Yeah. It's his memoir that he wrote, autobiographical, about his life in pre-revolutionary St. Petersburg in the first half of the 20th century.
Nabokov also wrote Lolita.
Yes.
Don't Stand So Close to Me in the Police song mentions Nabokov.
Yes.
All about, that's where my mind went.
Okay.
got to the police.
A prolific writer.
Have you read any Nabokov? I have not.
I
I'm gonna
have
admit.
read Lolita
Oh, you did?
and a
Okay.
couple of shorter pieces.
I mean, that's literature.
That I don't
It's high.
remember.
It's high smarty pants literature right there.
But I don't think I've read Speak Memory.
Speak Memory. Okay.
All right.
Well, but if you open the TV guide, what is Speak Memory really about? It would have told you a temporary memory loss wrecks Larry's plans to go the extra mile to get Jennifer's skeptical mother to like him.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
a
he's
lot
meeting
going
the mom.
on.
He's meeting the mom. That's very
Meeting the mom.
exciting.
He's already engaged. He didn't ask for permission or nothing.
No, he did meet her before the whole thing at the restaurant where he, just asked in front of that other dude
All
that she
right.
was on a date with. It was
All right.
fantastic.
He didn't. You'd think Larry would be the kind of guy that would go talk to the parents, but
Never met the mom.
guess not. All right. This episode has our main 2 characters, Balky and Larry, played by Bronson Pinchot and Marklyn Baker. We also have Jennifer, of course, played by Melanie Wilson. No Marianne in this whole thing.
they're
Usually they
attached
go
at
together.
the hip.
And we
Just
have one of our favorites, Sam Anderson, playing Mr. Gorpley. And then we have some guest cast, Jennifer's mother and a couple others we'll get to.
Yes, we are currently in Perfect Strangers time, February 8th, 1991. Listener, take yourself back to 91. And how do you do that? You just go to Amazon Freebie. And you can binge every episode along with us. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, let's get into this episode. We start Act 1 in our favorite apartment in Chicago, and Balky's doing like schoolwork on the kitchen table, and Larry, we see him in the back getting this like platter of chicken legs or whatever.
Yeah, like the chicken leg quarters,
Yeah, the
where
chicken
it's like
quarters.
the leg and the breast part connect.
Right.
They just are yummy. Looks like it's...
And he,
yeah.
I guess in very bachelor fashion, but doesn't seem character for him. He just like takes out a wing and takes it in his hands, starts chomping
No plate,
on
no
it.
napkin. It's
No,
great.
nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't even heat it up, presumably. It's just, anyway. And he's just like chomping on this chicken quarter. And he asked Balky, like...
no, it looks recognizable instantly, right?
Yeah, it's
That
like a
is
chicken
key.
quarter.
Yeah, you're like, that looks like chicken.
And yeah, it's very classic chicken looking. Classic chicken look. He asks Balky how is his English homework. Apparently he's doing English homework. And Balky he says, how's your English homework coming? And Balky goes, oh, it's coming along real good.
It should be real well.
Yeah. That's poor English grammar.
What kind
but
of textbook is that?
maybe that's coming up in his homework next.
Yeah. You'll learn that.
It's coming along real good. It's such a subtle joke, too.
I didn't even catch that.
You didn't catch it?
No.
Maybe it wasn't intentional, but I
Yeah.
think it was intentional.
Yeah.
It's funny. And Larry, like, takes another bite of chicken. Balky looks up, sees him eating the chicken, and is kind of surprised, right? He's like, and he says, well, paint me gold and call me Oscar.
Oh, the
Like
Oscar trophy.
Awards.
Yeah.
Why is he so surprised? Because he thought that Larry had said he'd never eat Meposian food again. He
Yes.
said, I thought you'd never do it again after you found out I make my shoe fly pie with real shoes and real flies.
I don't even know what a shoe fly pie is.
It's some like old American thing more than Meposian.
And Larry is surprised. Like we said, it looked like a recognizable piece of
Looked
chicken.
like a
And
piece
Larry
of
goes,
chicken.
this is Meposian food. He's suddenly
And he's like
alarmed.
worried now because he's like, oh, you're right. I don't want to eat this again. And Balky says, yes, it's moon chado sticky chicky busy buzz buzz.
Larry goes, moon chado sticky chicky busy buzz buzz.
And Balky says, that means honey glazed chicken.
Oh, and Larry
We
is
were all
Larry
expecting
is relieved.
something
Yes, it's not
strange.
any kind of pancreas or
exotic.
sheep or goat parts.
Yeah, or spleen or...
And Larry is relieved. He goes, that's all this is? Chicken? That's great. He goes, it's really good. And we hear a knock on the door as Larry continues to eat the chicken, head towards the door.
Yeah, with the chicken in
With
his
the
hand.
chicken in
He's
his
gonna
hand.
answer the door like eating a piece
Such
of
a bachelor. Except before he gets to the door,
Balky's like, oh yeah, just matter of factly, he's still talking about this Meposian dish. The secret is to cut the sweetness of the honey with the tartness of yak bile.
which instantly
At which point,
stops Larry.
Larry's like, ew, gross.
He turns around, he sticks his tongue out, he puts the chicken down, and then he wipes his tongue with like tissues.
You with a
Like,
napkin.
with little napkins. He's like just scraping his tongue off.
And whoever's at the door is so impatient that they just enter the apartment.
That's a good point. It was
Larry
Jennifer,
didn't even
and
get
she
to the
didn't-
door.
Yeah, she didn't wait till they opened. Why did you even knock first?
She
Just
bursts
burst
in because
Yeah.
she's a little bit in distress because she has terrible news.
Uh-oh.
And the terrible news is that her mother is coming to town and wants to meet Larry.
That's funny that's the terrible
That's
news.
the terrible news.
But Larry's like, what are you talking about? I would love to meet your mother.
And why is Jennifer very nervous and concerned? Because mother doesn't think anyone is good for her.
Of course she doesn't. She's one of those mothers. Nobody's
And so
good.
she has
Yes.
high standards and she's probably rude to the boyfriends.
And Balky tries to help and goes, well, then she'll like cousin Larry. He don't think he's good for you either. Larry's like, Balky, you're not helping.
Not helping.
Shut up. I don't.
And then Jennifer explains to Larry that, look, she's going to marry him anyway, even if her mother doesn't like her, but it would be so much better if her mother liked him. She says, then I wouldn't have to defend you all the time. Ouch.
Make things easier.
And Larry's like not sweating it. He's like, don't worry, you forget. He tells her he's a reporter, he's a wordsmith, a weaver of verbal magic. He says, I'll make your mother think I'm the most wonderful guy in the world. Then we'll be married, and then the truth won't matter
And then the
anymore.
truth won't matter anymore. And then he's not a wonderful.
Like,
That's
we
hilarious.
just have to
I can fake it.
get through the wedding.
Is he a good writer though? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. Is he? I don't know.
And then so this finally does kind of calm Jennifer, and she says, "Larry, what could mother possibly find wrong with you?" As she walks to the door and leaves, and she starts to go through her history of men that her mother has met. She says, "You're not at all like the other men I used to date. You're not always stopping to sign autographs like the baseball player.
Ooh.
You're not always being called away like the heart surgeon.
My goodness.
You're not always being summoned to the White House like the congressman." Okay, so Jennifer.
Okay, wait.
has
So
dated-
here's my thing about this. Jennifer, we met Jennifer. The boys met Jennifer in
at the gym.
6
at
years,
that
like
gym.
season
Yeah,
one,
Yeah.
right? Season
yeah.
one?
Yeah.
and they were.
No, it was season 2. No, yeah. 'Cause
Season one was the
it
short
was
season.
yeah.
All right,
technically season
season two, okay?
Yeah.
And they were what? Presumably 25 years old because he had a birthday
'cause
season one.
Yes.
Which was when he turned 24. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. They're 25 years old. You're telling me that Jennifer,
that was 7 years ago, 6 years ago.
6 years ago, and they started dating right away, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much that same season. You're telling me that Jennifer dated a professional baseball player, a heart surgeon, and a congressman before the age of 25. Well, I guess maybe.
That's
If she's an attractive woman, I guess they
that's
do date
quite
younger.
a history. And then Balky throws one on. He goes, "He's not always lugging that Heisman Trophy around like the football player, so he must know of
And
another."
a professional football player.
Yeah, so he
I
must
guess
know of another
actually
one.
it's possible for like Taylor Swift has dated a lot of
There you
she's in
go.
her 30s now, but like
She's had she
she dated
been with
plenty
Jake
of people,
Gyllenhaal, an
yeah.
actor, musician.
okay, I guess it's not so shocking. At first, it
Football
felt
player.
shocking to me. I was like, when did
But
she
we are to
date
assume
all these people?
Jennifer's had a dating life like Taylor Swift,
Yeah,
like a
Until
an
she
actress,
met Larry
like
and
a star.
decided to say
Yes.
no to everyone else
Larry
to date Larry.
is the one that was going to make her settle down, right? So, anyways, Jennifer says, "I feel much better after all this." Leaves, and Larry's like, he's reassuring her. He goes, "Don't worry, your mother's going to love me." Bye. He closes the door and instantly turns around and goes, "Balky, what am I going to do? Her mother hated a congressman." And Balky just smacks him on the face.
Slaps him
Just
on the
slaps him on the
cheek.
face. And
Slap.
Larry's hand flies up. He goes, "What'd you do that for?"
And he says, I had no choice. You know how these things always end. You jump to absurd contusions. He means conclusions.
He said contusions.
You paint an outlandish picture of what your life would be like. You get hysterical. You start to diaperventilate.
Hyperventilate is great.
Instead of hyperventilate.
Hyperventilate.
And then who has to slap you and just bring you back to reality? I do. Well, tonight I don't have time for the full-length version. And he points to the table. He says, I've got participles dangling over there because he was doing
Grammar
English
joke.
homework.
Yes.
So I just cut to the chase, meaning he just jumped to the slap.
So he didn't know to say real well, but he knows about dangling participles.
Yes.
So apparently it's an odd curriculum that they're teaching him. So yes, he just slapped him and he just explained what Larry does all the time.
It would be really well.
Yes.
Not real well.
Yes.
But he said real good instead of really well. Anyway. So Larry's still freaking out. He's like, don't you see what's that? And Balky like raises his hand again.
Yes.
And he's like, you don't make me do this, cousin. And he keeps going. He's like, her mother hated a big league ball player. And Balky's like, oh no. And then he says, I didn't get a hit in 3 years of Little League.
Yeah, he's freaking out, comparing himself
and
to all
Balky's
Jennifer's
like
boyfriends.
holding himself back from slapping him. He's like, cousin, don't make me. I'm going to do this. And Larry's like, Balky, I'm doomed. I don't have a prayer. And
then he goes on
you see the light bulb flick.
This great rant.
He's like, a prayer. That's it. I'll become a priest. All the world loves a priest. And then he pauses and he's like, no, that's not it. All the world loves a clown. I'll become a clown. and then Balky slaps him again.
Larry's like, you're right. I should have listened the first time you slapped me. And then Balky goes off on a rant, just starting with
Meposian rant.
Paul in Meposian saying,
Apple, Toniki, Baba, Stiki, Bartakamuki, Guli, Bliki, Hula,
Huli
Baluki.
Baluki.
And he's like waving his hands in the air and he storms off to his bedroom like ranting in Meposian. And then he's still ranting. He comes back and slaps Larry again
One more
and goes
time.
back into his bedroom.
For good measure.
And Larry's just like holding his face like, what did that? What was that for?
Hysterical Larry showdown with
Pretty funny,
Jennifer's
entertaining
mom.
scene
Yes.
right
Yes. There's a couple of high points in this episode as we transition to the next scene, which is the next day at the Chronicle. Valky's at the mail table, doing his sorting the mail bit as Gorpley comes out from behind the office with an open letter. And he goes, Bartokomous, I told you before, all letters from my ex-wife are supposed to be filed. And he picks up the garbage can. Here. And drops it in the garbage can.
And this is funny. That was a funny enough joke, but they followed it up with just another one because Balky says, but I didn't know it was from your ex-wife. Usually her letters come through the window tied to a brick.
Yeah,
that was like two jokes, like very back to back. It was good.
Sometimes they do that in here, and they do the second joke is not as good. This one
was both good.
Well.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, there's a couple of really laugh out loud things coming up. Okay.
Yeah. What did I laugh? I laughed.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Okay.
It's like the best line in the episode.
Yeah. And it's like such a
There's
throwaway.
two, though. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, back to where we were. So we have the joke about his letters from his ex-wife. And then Balky's, Larry, the phone on Larry's desk rings and he's not around. So Balky goes to answer it and we hear him, on his way, he says, I better get that because cousin Larry is upstairs with his friends in the sports department.
So wait, but Larry has
that's
friends.
A lot of details they're giving us for some reason.
Yes, Larry is friends with the jocks in the sports department. That's weird. I didn't know
he's from Wisconsin.
I didn't know he had any other friends.
Yeah, I know. So Balky answers the phone and it's Jennifer. And we hear him say, "Oh no, cousin Larry's not here." And then there's a beat. He's listening, and he says, "I don't know why he's never around when your life is falling apart." Which is weird and not very Jennifer. They haven't painted her as this person who's like so dependent on.
Yeah, kind of needy. Yeah, she doesn't call him all the time.
Put this like generic girlfriend joke in, but they haven't built her character to be that way. She barely even likes it. The guy.
I mean, it's a funny line, but it's out of context.
It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Anyway. So something's happening with Jennifer, we know, and Gorpley's all excited to hear this. He's like, "Oh, something's bad."
He's like, "Bad news for Appleton,"
and he's like ready for the
bad
tea.
news.
And I love bad news. And Balky's like, "Yeah, Jennifer's mother is coming to town earlier than expected, and so cousin Larry has to have dinner with them tonight instead of Thursday."
Oh boy!
And he says, "Oh, I hope you don't get too upset. You don't adjust to change very well."
Just then, we cut to upstairs, right? On the balcony, the doors open. Larry walks out and goes, he's talking to the sports guys. He goes,
through the door, we can't see. He's like yelling
he's
back.
finishing a conversation. He's like, well, if you were any kind of sports department, you'd give more coverage to American Gladiators. And then he ducks as a book is thrown at his head.
Threw a book
Yes, almost hitting him, just past him. He just gets up and goes, jerks. Okay, wait, there's a big stunt coming, but this American Gladiator joke is kind of fantastic for the time, 1991.
What was the American Gladiators?
The American Gladiators was the original wild, crazy physical competition where normal people would go up against these huge, kind of over the top,
like power lift, like strongman type.
It's like we wouldn't have Ninja Warrior or any of these shows if it wasn't for American Gladiator, who put them through obstacles. They would have to fight these big dudes
with big jousting things.
Yes, the jousting sticks. They have to knock people off. There was a course where they're shooting tennis balls at them. They had names like Ice and Blaze.
Who the normal people? No, the Gladiators.
The Gladiators.
So the normal people had to go up against Gladiators.
It started in 1989. Let me tell you, there's two fantastic documentaries.
I barely remember it.
About this on like Netflix and something else. I watched both of them. The stories are wild. When this show came out, people were shocked. They called it the downfall of American civilization.
What?
The news was like, because it was so, you never saw regular people like kind of go up against and in the first season there was not a lot of safety precautions. People were getting hurt. These were insane competitions. Nobody had ever seen anything like this, right? So the fact that he's telling them to cover American Gladiators when the sports industry considered it a joke.
Oh.
That it was entertainment. It's somewhere between like pro wrestling and like an actual
real people
obstacle course. But people watch these documentaries. The stories are wild.
It's like if Ninja Warrior had like muscly dudes.
It is the Ninja Warrior. You can draw a line. We wouldn't have any of those shows if it wasn't for American Gladiators.
It ran from 1989 to 1996, and then there's some kind of new version that started in 2008.
In 91, it would have been huge. And then if you watch these documentaries, you find out the original gladiators never got paid. They got paid, but they weren't getting the show was.
Where did they find them? They were all like
they auditioned. You would go and audition to be a gladiator and do these crazy things. The show was making tons of money. Their salaries never went up. They were cut out of like licensing rights.
Still happening.
Their faces were
in
everywhere.
Hollywood now.
They were selling toys. They weren't seeing a penny of it.
Where does one find these documentaries?
Just search American Gladiators doc on Google. There's two on two different platforms. One's like 5 hours long. They're both really great. Like if you love like the Fire Fest documentaries, it's similar.
I haven't watched
to that. Those are great too. Anyways, I love the American Gladiators mentioned. It would have been giant at the time.
Wow, awesome.
So that leaves us with Larry Appleton
at the top of the stairs. Why? Because he had to get upstairs to meet his friends at the sports department.
Why is he at the top of the stairs? You'll find out momentarily.
And so he's still at the top of the stairs, and Gorpley is so eager to like ruin his day because he's Gorpley. And he says, Appleton, your girlfriend called.
He gives him the bad news.
You two are having dinner with her mother tonight. He like didn't even let Balky. He just like blew it. And Larry's like, tonight. Of course, he freaks out tonight. And Gorpley's like grinning and smiling, enjoying this. And Larry's panicking and he starts to go down the stairs and he trips right at the top. And then we see literally like cartoonishly, he tumbles down like
it's the two level stairs
levels
that
of stairs.
turn.
Yeah, zigzag. Like he turns the corner and keeps tumbling down. Of course, it's not him. It's a stunt man until the very end. It's very. So he tumbles like in this scary way. Like literally, if this was real, you'd break your neck and die.
But it's so great. First of all, this news, they gives him this news that freaks him out so much he forgets how to walk. Like instantly he goes, tonight, and he just falls.
And how to grab a banister.
But when you watch it, it's great. It's actually edited really good. Right when he starts to fall, there's a cut.
Well.
There's an edit really well. Yes. See, I haven't been taking the night class. There's an edit right there, and you see the stunt man tumble all the way down.
It's so smooth. I couldn't even catch the edit.
There's an edit where Margolin Baker tumbles down the last few
the last from the bottom landing down the last bit. I couldn't even catch the edit. I watched it a couple times.
Whoever that stunt guy is did a great job. It's hilarious. It is an impressive tumble.
So just like tumble
really
over yourself.
Hurt yourself. Apparently, they filmed that.
Like turns the corner, goes down a zigzag of stairs.
And it's just like like you can really hurt yourself. I guess they filmed that not in front of a studio audience and then like cut it in or whatever.
Yeah, and then had Margolin Baker do the last bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so Margolin Baker does a little stunt too, but it's so good. It's so fun.
It ends up with Larry like landing on the the basement floor, like
back on the floor,
flat on his back, and Gorpley and Balky are like, "Oh my god!" And Balky's like, "Cousin, are you all right?" They pull him up to his feet. And Gorpley goes, of course he's all right. He landed on his head. He's still making jokes. He just watched his man like nearly die because of what he told him.
Because of him, that's right.
And also, like in the real world, you wouldn't like lift this person up right away and get him to stand. You'd be like,
fall
don't
after that, you're like, don't touch him. You need to stabilize
call
his neck.
911. No.
Somebody call an ambulance. Nope. They're just like,
they just popped him up.
It's 91. Get up, dude.
Larry's like, I think I'm okay. And then he touches the back of his head and goes, ow. And then Balky's like, where does it hurt? And he grabs the back of his head and he's like, ah, really loud.
Yeah.
And then there's a beat and Larry turns to look at Balky and he goes, who are you?
Uh-oh.
And Balky's like, you don't remember me? He says he doesn't remember anything. Gorpley's like, nothing? Okay, then you owe me $20.
Because I'll just take it out of your wallet. It starts to go for Larry's wallet.
He's like, Mr. Gorpley, this is no time to discuss Cousin Larry's debits. And he's like, I got to get him to the hospital. And he's like, grabs his arm and tries to like lead him through the garage area. And Larry's like, no, hold it. I can get to the hospital myself. And he like frees him from his hold. And then he looks around and he goes, how do I get out of here? He doesn't know where he is. And so Balky's like, I'll take you to the hospital. And then he grabs Larry. He's like, where did it hurt again? Grabs Larry's head again. He screams, ow, really loud. And they leave through the garage, and we fade to black. And it's the end of a very quick act one.
Establishing, look, we finally got the old amnesia TV trope.
So the high stakes are that Jennifer's mother, he needs Jennifer's mother to like him.
He needs her
in order
approval.
to marry
Yet now
Jennifer.
He doesn't remember what's going to happen. Listener, before we get into Act 2, you can join this conversation. Join our Facebook group. There's a link in the episode description and on our website. I post a thread there of the shows we're going to record ahead of time so you can watch on Freevee. You can leave your comments, observations. We share it on the show. You're involved. It's a wonderful thing. You can also meet other fans of Perfect Strangers and listeners of this podcast. It's a fun place to hang out and geek out about the cousins.
It wasn't immediately, like, I got that the stakes are that he needs her mother to like him, but it wasn't, to me, it's not immediately clear, like, why having amnesia or, like, having had an accident would be an obstacle to that, but we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
it takes a while for them to even get there.
He clearly had an accident. He can literally say, like, I'm not well and stay home. I'm concussed.
You might have a concussion. Is your vision blurry? Do you feel nauseous?
In sitcom world, we don't take time off for accidents. We must carry on.
You must meet the girlfriend, the fiance's mother.
Yes. So we come to Act 2, much longer of the two acts, and we see the boys returning to their apartment. Balky's kind of like ushering Larry in, and Larry looks very confused. Uh-huh. And Balky's like, how's your headache? Is it gone? He's like, yeah. He's like, okay. And then we hear Balky tell him, your name is Cousin Larry Appleton. Cousin Larry Appleton. And he's like, now you. And then Larry goes, my name is Cousin Larry Appleton.
Yes,
exactly how Balky says it. Cousin Larry Appleton.
Like, relax the jaw. Relax the jaw.
Cousin Larry Appleton.
Cousin Larry.
Hello. And Balky goes, hello. And Larry goes, hello.
Hello, my name is Cousin Larry
Appleton. And
how are you?
And then Larry just goes, fine.
Oh,
and Balky's like, no. Balky wants him to say, how are you?
Oh, my God, it's so funny.
He's trying to teach him this conversation to have with Jennifer's mother.
Now, if you know the show, you know this is going to be repeated bit.
Yes.
But when Larry starts going, hello,
my name is Cousin Larry Appleton. How are you? Fine.
That's not the answer Balky wants, right?
No, Balky's like, no, you have to say, how are you?
Oh, my God. And Larry's upset that his own name doesn't ring a bell. Balky walks him to the couch telling us that the doctor said his memory will come back in a few hours. There's a great line. Balky goes, he x-rayed your head and found nothing. And Larry looks at him like,
what? Nothing.
What?
He said, yeah, the doctor said he's fine.
Yeah.
You're just fine.
That's the diagnosis.
And he's like, you've never been better, except you don't know who you are from a hole in the ground.
And he starts crying, and Larry again goes, my name is Cousin Larry Appleton.
Buck's like, good, now relaxing
Relax
the
the
jaw.
jaw. My
name is Cousin Larry Appleton.
Hello,
my name is Cousin Larry Appleton.
How are you?
Fine.
Oh,
and Balky's like, no. And Balky seems so frustrated right now. He's like crying.
Yes.
It's as if they want us to think like he's been trying to teach him this all day.
That's
he
a good
can't
point.
Get past. Like, how many times have we done it?
Hello. And so Larry's frustrated. He doesn't know anything about him, where he works, blah, blah, blah. He goes to the Balky, he goes, tell me about me.
Balky says, where does one begin?
Where does one begin?
He tells him that he was born in Madison, Wisconsin. He lives in this apartment. And then Balky stops and like smiles. He goes, I'm your best friend.
It's so cute. He
and he hugs him.
Yeah.
He tells him he works at the Chicago Chronicle. And when you think no one is listening, you gargle to the tune of Moon River.
And Larry's like, I gargle to the tune of Moon River? Balky goes, yes. And then suddenly, Larry starts to remember things.
Ooh.
He goes, hold on, wait, I'm starting to remember. He goes, do we work with a man named Mr. Porkley?
And like Balky starts massaging Larry's forehead, his temples.
And then Larry goes, Mr. Headley? And then he goes, Gorbley, Mr. Gorbley.
Yes.
And
Yes.
suddenly Larry's memories start coming back.
Balky's like, yes, your memory bank is no longer
A
overdrawn.
bank pun.
Bank pun.
Memory bank pun.
This is wonderful. And Larry's like, what a relief.
He's like, I know my name. It's good to be back. Balky's like, I'm gonna make you a nice strong cup of coffee. Larry's like, because that's the way I like it.
And Balky's like, I know you do. And so Balky gets up, goes to the kitchen to start making coffee. And Larry's like, oh boy. He's like relieved. And he's like, I must have taken quite a spill. He's like, I couldn't remember anything. He's like, okay, born in Madison, work at the Chronicle, gargle to Moon River. It's all back. Oh boy. He's like, the human brain is one amazing little gizmo. And as he's talking, he's just like so relieved. Balky comes back with this little tray and some coffee cups and stuff. And he sets it down on the coffee table, sits next to him. He picks up a coffee. He turns to Larry and he goes, sugar? And Larry just turns to him and goes, who are you and why are you calling me sugar?
I love it. That's, who are you? And that's like the airplane joke.
Yes.
And don't call me Shirley. Shirley, you can't be serious. I am. And please don't call me
I am
Shirley.
serious. And
Who
don't
are
call
you?
me
Why are you calling me sugar?
So it's gone.
It's gone
And
again.
Balky starts like crying again. He's like, you've lost it again. And Larry's like, lost what? And then he looks at himself. He looks at Balky, and Balky's in like a pink bag, like a, what do they call those kind of shirts? Like flowy shirt
He's
with
wearing
a
a pink
red
poofy
vest,
shirt with this
poofy
red
shirt,
patterned vest that looks
and
very
his red pleated pants and all
and
that stuff.
you know, and we're used to his Mediterranean, Middle Eastern
Yeah.
gear. This one
This
looks
one
a
looks
little
like Arizona.
South American,
Yeah.
Arizona. You know,
Yeah, it's like embroidered.
Mexican flavor.
And so Larry looks at himself and Balky and he says, who am I? Who are you? Is there some reason you're dressed like the Cisco Kid? And Balky's just like, I'm trying to make a fashion statement, but quite clearly it's wasted on you. Okay, who is the Cisco Kid?
Who is the Cisco Kid? This is what was this? It's a TV show.
It was a literary character first, created by O. Henry.
Oh,
and
the
was,
candy bar writer.
Yes, the
No?
candy bar writer.
Oh,
O.
Henry, well, short stories, right?
Yeah,
The O. Henry stories.
The Cisco Kid first appeared in a short story, one of O. Henry's short stories, but in the original version, the Cisco Kid was not Hispanic and was an outlaw.
Uh-huh.
And then later they adapted this character for movies.
Oh.
Also a radio series, also comics and television. It
yep.
just blew up the Cisco Kid universe. And they changed the character to become a Mexican caballero.
Oh, caballero.
And he had a sidekick.
Oh, he's kinda
and
like
they
a
were
cowboy.
helping cowboy for good,
So
like helping people.
I am aware. I've heard of the Cisco Kid. I've never.
Yeah, I don't
and I knew
really
he was
know.
like a cowboy type Western
Yeah.
TV show, but I never watched it. But it reminded me of there's a band from the 70s called War. They did that song
What is it
Lowrider.
good for? Oh yeah, I like Lowrider.
Yes, Lowrider. But they also did a song called Cisco Kid.
Ah.
Cisco Kid was a friend of mine. It's a really good
I
song.
don't know that song.
Yeah, it's a great song
I
by
like
War.
Lowrider though.
Yeah, Lowrider is also good. Two good songs by the band War.
Down, 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 down,
Yep.
down, down, down,
Ooh.
down.
Right. No, but Cisco Kid also funky, got that same 70s vibe. They're both really great songs.
Okay. So Balky apparently dressed like the Cisco
I guess
Kid
that's what the
character.
Cisco
We should
Kid
look up
looked
an
like.
image of. So we have Larry, he had it all back, but then lost it again, lost his memory, and he's like, I don't remember who I am. I don't know if I ever will. And Balky is trying to calm him down. He insists that the doctor said that his memory might go away and come back a few times before you get it back for good. He says it happens all the time to people testifying before congressional committees.
That must be like a
And Larry's
topical
like,
joke.
I'm testifying before Congress.
no,
What have I done? What did I do? He's like, no. But what I wondered what
That's
was
good.
topical, like if anything was going on in February 1991.
I mean, in the late 80s, you had didn't you have like Oliver North and Iran Contra and like Reagan? Wasn't that before, or that was before in the 80s with Reagan? They didn't remember anything. 91,
oh
it would
yeah,
have been.
that's right.
Yeah. 91, it would have been George Bush Sr. still president. I don't remember. But I think it was common.
When people were saying like, I don't remember.
It was
I
a
don't
common
remember.
thing where
it
all
probably
these-
still is.
Yeah, we're like, I don't recall. I don't recall. Like, I don't know. Reagan would say that all the time.
So now Larry's freaking out. He doesn't know who he is. He thinks he's going to have to testify before Congress. And Balky's like, calm down. And he's like helping him through deep breathing. He's like, he tries to tell him to take a deep breath. He does it for him. And then Larry does that like that quick, short sniffing thing. He couldn't even take a deep breath.
No, he's freaking out.
And he tells him again, he goes, okay, your name is Cousin Larry Appleton.
My name is Cousin Larry. Yep. Relax the jaw.
Cousin Larry
Relax the jaw.
Appleton.
My name.
Hello. My name is Cousin Larry Appleton. How are you?
Fine.
Balky's like, come on, just say how are you once. Yes, and so he still can't get past how are you. And then Balky goes through all the bits again. He's like, okay, you were born in Madison, Wisconsin. And Larry's like, okay, yeah, I work at the Chicago Chronicle. And then Larry's like,
he starts to remember.
And then he
again.
takes a beat. Something's coming to him. He like puts his head up, puts his face like up to the ceiling, and he starts gargling Moon River.
Yes, the melody of Moon River.
And Balky starts singing along with him in this beautiful, croony, deep voice.
He's got such a good voice in this part.
Yeah, he always does. Yeah, Bronson Pinchot had a good voice. And so they like gargle and sing Moon River for a little bit. And then Larry's like, I got it.
Suddenly he snaps out of it. Okay,
While
hold
they're
on.
singing.
First of all,
Yes.
how does one gargle without actual liquid?
I don't know. He wasn't
in your
really
mouth?
gargling. He was like just making the gargling
He's
sound.
like, it's hard to do without
It's hard
any
to
water.
do it, yeah.
And then secondly, why Moon River? Why this song?
I don't know.
barely
It
know
must
this
have
song.
been one of the writers.
Moon River.
Moon River, of
Classic.
course, was
Henry Mancini. Oh.
yes, and originally performed by Audrey Hepburn in the 1961 film Breakfast at Tiffany's.
That's where it got big.
And
okay.
the song won an Academy Award for
Okay.
Best Original Song and also the 1962 Grammy
Oh,
for
62.
Record
Big
of
song.
the Year
Big song.
and
Yeah.
Song of the Year.
It's like a classic. I know.
Moon River. I don't even know it. But anyway, he starts gargling. They sing for a little bit, gargle, sing. And Larry comes back to him. I got it. I remember. I'm Larry Appleton. I was born in Madison, Wisconsin. I work at the Chronicle. Oh, and then he's like super excited by everything he can remember. He goes, and I even remember how many girls I asked to the senior prom. 12. And I remember how many turned me down. 13. And he's very excited at this point. And this is the line where I laughed so hard. He goes, one girl. Okay, so how many girls I asked out? 12. How many turned me down? 13. And he goes, one girl just came right up to me in the cafeteria and said, don't even think about asking me to the prom. And he's like pointing his finger and his face is all, he gets totally
He gets
in
so into
character. It
the
was
fact
so
that he's like reenacting
funny.
that
Oh my
moment
gosh.
from his childhood. Don't even think about asking me to the prom.
I laughed so
It's
hard because
so funny.
why is he so into the act out? That's what was funny to me. He's
That
so
line
into the
is
act
so
out.
fun. And
his
then-
face is like so intense.
And it comes out of nowhere, right? And just all of a sudden he's
Don't
doing this girl. And
think
it's so great because he waits a moment and he just goes a little unnecessary, don't you think? As all the audience is catching up with him. But the fact that he's 13, one girl
fact that
preempted
yeah,
him asking
and the-
about it and
and-
ran up to him.
And the act out was
Don't
just
even think
so
about asking.
intense and so he
Poor
was
Larry
so
Appleton.
into it.
But you really feel bad for him at this
Oh
point.
my God, I
But he
laughed so
explains the point of this is to show you that I remember details from my life. And suddenly Balky goes, well, cousin, do you remember you're having dinner with Jennifer and her mother tonight? And then Balky and Larry starts to mock him.
Yes, I remember. I'm having dinner with Jennifer and he does his accent, and then
And then
it
suddenly
hits
he
him.
hits him and he jumps up. He's like, oh my
Oh
God.
my Lord.
Oh my Lord.
I have to have dinner with Jennifer's mother. He's like, Balky, she hated a heart surgeon. What am I going to do? My life is over. And he starts to hyperventilate. And then Balky just reminds him, cousin, you're hysterical. Do you remember how I bring you out of this? And Larry goes, no. And Balky raises his hand.
Yeah, he
and
pulls his
Larry's
hand
like,
back.
I'm fine. I'm fine. As if he was about to slap him.
Oh my God. So Larry now has remembered. So here's the other weird thing. This whole time I'm waiting for Balky to tell him, by the way, you're having dinner with your fiance's mother tonight. And he like waits so long
Yeah.
to remind him. He's trying to get him to think, but
Yeah.
oh my God, don't even think of asking me to the prom and the hello. My name is those
Don't
two
even
bits.
think about it.
Those two bits are hilarious
I
as
laughed so hard. Mark Lynn-Baker is
great
too
facial
much.
expression and like just that joke came out of nowhere. So funny.
He committed to it so
Yeah.
hard. That's what was
He
funny.
was like back in that moment
Yeah.
for that split second, reliving the trauma. Then we transition to the restaurant. There's an exterior shot of this restaurant in the corner, and I swear we have seen this restaurant before. I swear we've seen the same people walking and entering in front of the restaurant before, even though it says the Windsor.
This time it says the Windsor. Yes, this is an exterior that has been used before.
I knew
in
it.
several previous episodes. It has been called Edwards. In this one, it's called Caulfield's. There's like a superimposed restaurant name every time.
No, it says the Windsor in this one. I believe this was in the Karate Kids episode.
Yeah.
And it was called something else. Edwards.
Yeah.
It says the Windsor outside. It may say something different on the menu.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
It's
okay.
confusing.
Anyway, they just recycled it. They probably didn't check the consistency of the name.
Forgot to change the plate.
Yeah, or the superimposed graphic or whatever.
Anyways, what does the inside of the Windsor / Caulfield look like?
It's like all green with like curtains and stuff, and notably a plush carpeted floor.
Oh, that's how you know
green,
it's a fancy restaurant.
Which stuck out to me right away. I'm like, do restaurants have carpets, much less plush carpets?
That's like when you have carpet in the kitchen at some house or some weird
or like in the bathroom. It's like weird.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think in the 90s.
First of all, I think carpet is so disgusting, but it was big in the 80s and 90s.
Yes, in the 90s, that was the mark of a 5-star restaurant. I don't know. 5-star restaurant.
Carpeted
they
restaurant.
have carpeting.
Like what?
Let's go there.
And we see the interior, and we see Balky and Larry walk in. Balky's with him on this dinner date with Jennifer's mom, I guess. But Balky's there because he's trying to make sure he's okay. And as they walk in, he's quizzing him. He's like, all right, name. And Larry's like, Larry Appleton. He goes, place of birth, Madison, Wisconsin. Address. Larry's like, I know where we live. Balky says, he's just testing him. He's like, you're bluffing. And Larry's like, no, I'm fine. I've had my memory for 4 solid hours now.
Okay,
so it's not back and forth
they
anymore.
strung
It's
some
4
hours together. Great.
He's like, you didn't have to drive me here. Balky obviously thinks opposite. And he even pulls out a little like pen light and checks Larry's like eyes. And he says, let me just check and see if your pupils are annihilated.
Annihilated.
Like holding his eyeball open.
Yeah, he's pulled him over to the side. He's giving him a quick doctor's exam.
Yeah.
He's like, he puts it in his eyes. He goes, open wide. He makes Larry open his mouth and go nice and wide. He's like, give me an He's shining the light in there. Balky's like, no, you need to depress the back of your tongue. And he sticks his finger in Larry's mouth, and Larry gags like he's gonna vomit. He's like, stop it, Balky, please. It's so funny. He literally sticks his finger.
He puts his finger in his
in
mouth.
the back of his mouth. And it almost looked real the way he reacted.
And Larry's like, Balky, stop. And then here we get the point of this scene. He goes, the stakes for this scene. He says, don't tell Jennifer anything about my temporary memory loss. She would only worry, so please don't tell her anything. And Balky's like, okay, I won't tell her anything. And he goes in to check to see if they're there. And he comes back and he's like, they're here. We see him like leave they're still in like the entry area, but there's another room. So he goes in there, he comes back, he says, they're here.
Larry goes, who are you?
Oh, and Balky goes, oh God.
Who am I? And Balky suddenly realizes he's lost his memory again. He's trying to get him out of there when Jennifer enters this little foyer area. And she goes, Larry, what are you doing here? My mother's here.
Out here, yeah.
Waiting to meet you. And then Larry, suddenly this beautiful woman, from his perspective, has just walked up to him and grabbed him close. And Larry's like, well, if she's anything like you, I would love to meet her. And suddenly Larry has all this confidence we've never seen Larry have with a woman.
Yeah, that's so funny. He has amnesia, but also confidence he becomes like
his game gets
a toxic
better.
male.
Yes, as he
swag.
exactly. His game probably becomes like the aggressive macho bro dude.
That's so weird.
when he gets amnesia.
And he like grabs her around the waist. He's like, hello. And Jennifer's like, what's going on here? And then Balky has to tell her. So he says, I hate to be the wearer of bad news.
Instead of bearer.
But Cousin Larry had an accident. He says he fall down the stairs. He bumped his head. And then he lose his memory. And then it'd come back. But every time he needs it, it goes away again. And Jennifer's like, oh my goodness, Larry, are you okay? And he says and Larry just goes, like in his swagger. He's like, well, I'm fine. Now, what do you say the two of us get out of here and get to know each other?
See, but ironically, this is the kind of man I would think Jennifer would be attracted to. This is how she's always wanted him to act. He finally has backbone and confidence, but also it's a little
But
pro-y.
now she's just confused.
He's going over the top,
And she says, we do know each other. We're engaged.
Larry's like, you're going to marry me? Totally shocked. And she goes, yes. And then she steps to Balky. He goes, Balky, if Mother sees Larry in this condition, she'll never approve of me marrying him. And Larry again goes, you're going to marry me? And this time she turns around and goes, maybe.
Wait, but here's another like implied stakes that doesn't really make sense. Like, clearly he's had an accident, but she thinks like her mother will think badly of him in this condition with no memory. Or like maybe she's talking about him being like gross and swaggy.
I guess that's what's been established.
Why doesn't she think her mother will like him? But
it's a good,
but we don't need to know that. We just need to know that the stakes are that she doesn't want her mother to see him in this condition.
It's a little leaping around the thoughts here. So Balky tells Jennifer, just tell your mom the truth. He got bumped in the head. He's got amnesia. And Jennifer goes, I used the amnesia excuse for one of my old boyfriends.
Oh, that's
so now
why
she's doing
she
things
can't
that Larry's
just be
done.
honest. Yes.
And then suddenly, this Larry, who his memory has been wiped.
This is weird. And he was all swaggy and like chill a moment ago.
Doesn't know what's going on. Goes, wait a minute. We need your mother's approval. We can make this work. And he goes, I have a plan. Like
and
Larry
suddenly
Appleton.
he's like so excited and eager. And even though he has no idea who these people are, but he's like, but if this is what we need, I'm here to do it for you. He's all into this plan. It doesn't make sense.
Part of me thought like he's helping out this beautiful woman that he just met. And
sure.
But then we have to establish now he kind of knows what's going on and he has the plan. He goes, I'll just make small talk. He goes, if your mother wants to know something about me, you and Bulky can tell her. And then Balky's like, excuse me, my name is Balky. Larry's like, whatever. Listen, the point is we can make this worth. It's worth a shot. He's all into it. He's like, let's go. He grabs
he's
them.
like
He runs into the
suddenly
restaurant.
change of character from like swaggy, confident to like
because from his point of view, this gorgeous woman's walked up and she's gonna marry him, and she needs his help. And now he's gonna. I don't know.
But he knows enough. Like he doesn't remember. His memory's just wiped again. But somehow in this whole thing, he has an understanding that like those are people he should know, and they're going to help him.
It has a little more continuity errors like that coming up where his memory resets, but he still knows what's going on.
Right.
It's going to happen again. And I was like, wait a minute.
They just played with this whole thing.
They get a little loosey-goosey with the rules. It's okay. It's for comedy.
With the rules, exactly.
So they run into the restaurant, and Larry's like, all right, remember Blakely? He goes, Balky. Goes, whatever.
Balky.
He goes, if I get stuck for a fact, just jump right in. Give me the answer. Don't make it obvious. Try to lead me to the right answer. He goes to Balky, you think you can handle that? And Balky's like, I'm the one with the fully functioning brain here.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so they go to the table, and Jennifer introduces them to her mother, Catherine Lyons.
It's funny. They're like run over there. I don't know what her mother must think is going on.
Mother was just like sitting there, and they're all standing around her. And she says, Mother, this is Larry. And Larry shakes her hand.
Very confidently. He's like, I'm delighted to meet you.
Like,
very
Larry-like.
She's
like, hello. Yeah, he's like,
smooth.
I'm delighted to meet you. And she's like, thank you. And then Jennifer's like, and this is Balky, Larry's cousin. And her mother says hello, holds out her hand. And Balky, of course, does what? Walks over and gives her
a hug.
A hug. And she's like, isn't that nice? He brought his cousin with him.
That's a really funny line.
So random.
She's like, he brought his cousin with him.
Brings a cousin. And Balky goes, we go everywhere together. We're insufferable.
Inseparable. So Marianne's mother looks a lot like Marianne's mother. She's in a very...
she's like posh.
She's in a pink, very elegant nighttime dress.
Yeah.
Done up, got this big smile on her face.
Very like formal. Like, it's uncomfortable and rich people when she refers to her mother as mother.
This is
she
mother.
calls her mother. Yeah. Like,
and who is this person?
The actress?
Yes.
The actress is Marla Adams, and she had been already at this point in a lot of television and film. She was in a 1961 movie called Splendor in the Grass. She was on soap operas.
She seems like a soap opera person that was in a lot of soap operas.
In the 60s and 70s. Yes. She was on General Hospital, Starsky and Hutch, The Love Boat, Heart to Heart, Happy Days, Hill Street Blues, Who's the Boss, Matlock, The Golden Girls, Baywatch, Nash Bridges, Days of Our Lives, Walker, Texas Ranger. She was in a lot of television.
Yeah, I can tell she's like a TV veteran. You get that vibe off of her too.
Like part of the 80s. Yeah, so she's just at this point done a lot of
TV royalty.
Marla Adams.
So they all sit down, and this whole next sequence is kind of hilarious. As Larry,
so the plan is,
he doesn't know what's going on. It tries to make small talk with this woman he just met's mother. They're gonna get married, and
he doesn't even know who Jennifer is.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what's going on, but somehow he remembers like what the situation is.
Yes, he goes, Jennifer has told me so much about you, Mrs.
And Balky tries to give him a clue, as was the plan, and he goes, King of the Jungle, King of the Jungle.
Mrs. Tarzan, and Larry says, what's so funny? And Balky goes, Lions.
Mrs. Lions.
He's trying to get him to say lions.
Yes.
It's so funny.
But Tarzan is King of the Jungle.
It is King I know, he goes, Mrs. Tarzan. Just like matter of factly.
And so Larry just picks up, he's like, Mrs. Lions, I mean. And then Balky tries to like cover for him, and he goes, "Oh, cousin Larry would forget his own name if I hadn't sewn it into his underwear." And so we see a waiter comes by and puts down like a little tray of appetizers and stuff. Anyway, Jennifer's trying to like smooth things over. She's like, Balky's exaggerating. It's fine. And Larry's like, yeah, of course. I have an excellent memory, because he's trying to appear normal, right? Nothing wrong with my memory. Nothing. That's fine. Mind you, they had already like introduced to each other and stuff. But then Larry holds his hand up so even within the memory loss, he has like shorter term loss, because he holds his hand up to Mrs. Lyons and offers to handshake, and he says, "Hello, my name is cousin Larry Appleton."
Okay, so now presumably he's wiped all again. He's lost it all again.
So, yeah, shorter term. So this would mean that he doesn't. This is like Inception here.
Yes.
Would mean that he shouldn't remember what their plan is that they're doing either, because he's rewiped.
Yes, he's rewiped. Jennifer goes, Larry, stop joking. Mother will think you're not serious about marrying me. And now he remembers.
Yes.
Serious? Well, of course I'm serious. Who wouldn't want to marry a woman as lovely as Jessica?
And he goes, Jennifer. Jennifer.
So his mind just got wiped, but now he knows he's got to pretend. And he's right back into it.
But how does he remember that he has to keep pretending? Because that's a memory of the previous situation, like which is wiped.
It's bleeding through it. He goes, my dream is to make her Mrs. Cousin Larry Appleton.
And then Jennifer's like, can we, or she tries to change the subject. She's like, let's order. And Larry's like, good idea. And he does this again. Now he's like macho again. He does this gross thing where he like snaps his fingers in the air and he goes, waiter, could we have some menus? And the waiter's like, sure. And he goes to get some menus. And Larry in his swagger voice says to Mrs. Lyons, I hear the food here is very good. And so she starts her sort of like interview, right? Like the conversation when you meet them. So Larry, do you enjoy working for the paper? And he just goes, and what paper would that be?
What paper would that be? And Balky now has to jump in and try to help. He goes, cousin Larry loves working at the Chicago.
And Larry goes, stockyards.
Chicago stockyards.
And the waiter has come and given him the menus at
so
this
now
point,
he's holding all the menus
in his hand.
Yes, and Balky's trying to cover, goes, oh, you know very well you work at the Chicago Chronicle. And then Mrs. Lyons asks him, how many years have you been working there? And now everybody's panicking because Larry doesn't know the answer. And Balky suddenly picks up the tray of appetizers and offers them to Mrs. Lyons. And he goes, would you care for an olive? She goes, no thanks. Sweet gherkin, he says. No, not really. And then he goes, try the baby corn. Take 3 ears.
And this part is so funny because he's
just
passing the tray like in front of Larry, who's in the middle between him and Mrs. Lyons, and and Larry's just looking at Balky's mouth, speaking. He's just staring at him and not having any reaction. Balky's going 3 ears, 3 ears, and Marklin Baker just looks like blankly, and then all of a sudden we see his face like, oh,
pop,
oh, I get it. It was, for whatever reason, the way they did this, no lines at all, but it was so so funny. Mark Lynn-Baker's facial expression was so, and the moment he gets it, he's
He
like,
goes,
oh,
3 years.
3 years,
So
3 years.
He continues with his facial expressions as he goes, waiter, can we have some menus? And the waiter walks over and goes, they're right here in your hand. And he looks down. He goes, oh. He goes, that was fast. He goes, they know me here.
They know
He's
me
surprised
here.
that he's holding
So
the menus
he's-
this whole time. It's
So he's
good.
losing little bits of memory throughout, but he
Yes,
like remembers
he
that
knows
he
what the
has
situation
to.
is.
Yeah, he remembers the situation
To
that he
a
has to
certain
be like
extent.
swaggy. So he says, "Yeah, I've worked at the Chronicle 3 years," and he passes around the menus.
Menu? Oh.
And Mrs. Lyons is like, "What is going on here?" She asked Jennifer, "Has he always been like this?" Larry says, "Look, I know you're concerned that,"
Jennifer.
and Balky offers her the name Jennifer. He goes, "Jennifer marries happily. I just want you to know that I intend to devote the rest of my life to making
Jennifer.
happy," like that, with Balky filling in the name Jennifer every time. And Mrs. Lyons like, "All right, that's great. Why don't we all just like relax and have dinner?" And Larry's like, I think that's a great idea. And he
Everyone opens their menus
yeah.
at this point. So on the menus, it does in fact say Caulfield's on a white. It's like the worst thing. It's like they printed it on a white piece of paper and just taped it to the menus.
Caulfield's.
Even though in that
Outside it
exterior
said
shot it
Windsor.
says the Windsor.
I think the Windsor was from another episode, but it was
But the
supposed to say
menus
Caulfield's.
say Caulfield's.
All right,
I don't
we
know
found
what's going on
something.
here. Which one is it? Perfect Strangers. Anyways, they all open their menus. Great idea. Let's order. And suddenly Larry holds out his hand again to Miss Lyons and goes, "Hello, my name is Cousin Larry Appleton." And then he snaps his fingers again and goes, "Waiter, can we get some menus?" And he looks down and he's surprised. He's like, oh. He's like, "What?" And then he finally turns to Balky and goes, "Have we met?" And the scene
So it's
fades.
just like he's spiraling
It's just
within
coming and going.
memory loss, within memory loss, within memory loss.
Sounds
but
terrifying.
some things seep through the levels of memory loss, like
Poor
the
Larry.
situation that he's in.
His
must be
brain-
so. I mean, it's confusing for us. It must
Yeah.
have been confusing for him as well.
That's the hilarious thing. It's like he would forget, but he does. He has to pretend.
Yeah.
How? I don't know.
And the scene cuts to the next. But before that, the Caulfield's Windsor thing is interesting because I just heard a conversation. I think it was just like on the radio. Some DJs were talking about this when the when Friends. Was it Friends they were talking about? Yeah, when Friends started coming out on streaming, like the
Is it a Mandela effect about the cafe's name?
no. Like
Central Perk.
in the episodes that are up for streaming now, they mentioned one specific episode, but there's scenes in there that someone will say a line and it's supposed to be Monica, but the camera will pan out and it's just like a stand-in and they've left her there. And they were explaining the reason why you see that now is because when it was filmed and aired, it was for a different size screen, right? And so now when it's on streaming, it's a wider shot, and that part was never meant to be seen with
so
the
you
stand-in.
see more
And
of
you
the
see
shot?
the stand-in, and it's like not even anybody that looks like. Sometimes they're not even in the same outfit. Receiving this line
No
because
way.
they were out of the screen when it was originally aired. Does that make sense? What
yeah.
I said, yeah, that's what they were talking about. I thought it was super interesting.
I thought I saw somewhere that some of the episodes on streaming some of the scenes are different, that actually
Right.
different people are saying different lines than when it aired originally, that
interesting.
people have taped or remembered. Like it was re-edited or something.
Yeah, well, they had to, because the
Right,
screen dimensions
Sure,
are
'cause it
different
was-
now. So
Yeah.
like you see the whole thing that
Yeah.
you weren't meant to see.
Now it's more
when it
16 by 9
originally aired. So there's
as
like
opposed to the 4-1 square.
totally random people. Like Phoebe will say something and it was supposed to be to Monica, and that you see that it's not Monica.
They have stand-ins
And
for
they're
the
saying
shot.
their lines too, and
Yeah.
sometimes they
Yeah.
just left and
they didn't-
and they're
they
in.
didn't- that's
And they
so weird.
mentioned a specific episode, and I don't remember which one. But don't you think they would have? And it's specifically for streaming, like maybe not the ones you see on TV, but
Yeah,
also
but
the ones,
you'd have to go through every episode and
Yeah.
like re-edit
They
it
were
and
ta-
recompose
yeah,
the shot.
and
Like,
they didn't
that's
do
impossible.
that. They were
Let's
just
take
like,
too
we're
much
just gonna
time.
put it out.
It's not worth the trouble.
So I was thinking about this, but we haven't seen anything like that.
No,
really.
this is still shown to us in a square aspect
Right.
ratio.
Oh, it is.
It's
Okay,
not like
yeah.
expand. So that's all you do is you put up bars and like leave it
right, but
the
they
original,
for
but they expanded
some
it.
episodes, I guess they didn't.
Oh my god,
and
we used
they're
to
like,
find those. That's crazy.
and the DJ was just saying that he saw it. He's, I think he was like watching old Friends episodes and noticed this, and I was like, oh, that's super interesting. Anyway, okay, so Larry's losing his memory rapidly, and they're at dinner, and Mrs. Lyons is not impressed. Anyway, we cut out of there, and we go to later that night back at the apartment. They've obviously come home from this dinner, and Balky and Larry's sitting there on the couch. And Larry's like going over, sort of like repeating all his facts again. He's like, okay, I've worked at the Chronicle for 3 years, et cetera, et cetera. And Balky says, okay, looks like you've got everything back. And Larry's like, yeah, everything except what happened from when I fell down the stairs at the Chronicle to when Jennifer's mother stormed out of the restaurant.
Oh, that's how it ended.
That's how that ended.
Oh, boy. And then there's a knock.
Which doesn't paint Jennifer's mother in the greatest of light. But
who knows what Larry said to her? She's like, this guy is way too kooky. What is going? Hello.
You know
My
she can't be
name.
a warm person if her grown daughter, calls her mother.
Yeah, and I mean, her like, it's kind of like this fake smile she has the whole time is so fantastic.
She's just kind of snooty.
But speaking of Jennifer's mother, there's a knock on the door. Larry answers. It's Jennifer with her mother. Oh boy, Jennifer has explained that she has explained everything to her mother, and her mother understands. Mrs. Lyons says, I sort of understand.
Yeah, and she says, Jennifer told me about, and Larry's like hopeful. She was like, really, you understand? She says, Jennifer told her about his temporary amnesia, and that seemed to explain most of your bizarre behavior.
Mm-hmm.
She said, you seem pleasant enough. You have a decent job. I guess newspaper reporter was decent job. There's a certain desperation in your eyes that tells me you will never leave my daughter. Welcome to the family.
That's what she wanted to see. She knows that he's not gonna leave because he's desperate.
Right.
Larry goes, thanks, Mom. And with a big smile, without missing a beat, she goes, call me Mrs. Lyons.
Yeah.
Right back at him.
Yes,
And
she says quite seriously. He's all proud of himself. He's like, okay, Mommy. She's like, Mrs. Lyons.
And Balky is suddenly excited because he realizes they're going to be related. And he steps over to her and says, you will be my aunt-in-law 5 times removed. My livestock will be your livestock.
After they get married, he hugs her, and then he starts petting her face.
He starts petting her face. It's so
and
funny.
they quickly try to remove him. They're like,
you
let's
shouldn't be doing this. Yeah, he's totally like caressing her face. She's like, oh.
And then Jennifer and Larry pull him off of her, and
So funny.
Jennifer's like, we have to get Mother to the airport. Bye, Larry. And then they give a quick kiss, and then as they're walking out, Jennifer's mom says, are you sure about this marriage? I was like, I'm sure. And then the mom goes, the foreign boy won't be living with you, will he? And they leave. And Jennifer, as she's leaving, like laughs and then turns back and looks at Larry and Balky and then realizes actually it's quite a possibility. And
then
her face goes
drops.
like totally straight.
And then for a few
concerned.
seconds, they're all just staring at each other. And
It's
Balky
so
is
funny.
standing there awkwardly as they all contemplate. Is the foreign boy going to be living with them when
They're
they get
all
married?
thinking
They're
about
all
it.
thinking about the same thing. And they're just standing there, right? And Balky just slowly turns back. It's so
And
awkward
then
and
Jennifer
funny.
walks out slowly and leaves, and they're just standing there thinking
Is this
about
foreshadowing about the future of the show?
And then Balky, and then there's a beat, and Larry looks at Balky and goes, Have we met?
Oh, it's gone again. And then
And roll
fade
credits.
to black. Roll credits. Listener, before we get into our thoughts, make sure you check out our TeePublic shop at danceofjoypod.com/shop. You can get lovely t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, cell phone cases with the Dance of Joy podcast logo on it and parade it around every little bit. It's a great way to support the show. Also, all that is on our website. Well, all right, sister, you got any other things to note?
Okay, yes, we do have an interesting note. So the man who played the waiter in this episode, very brief appearances, just every time Larry snapped his fingers. This man his name is John Draymond. And you won't know him from a lot of television, not a huge actor, but he was on this episode. But he ends up being the mayor of Glendale, California for 1 year, 2008 to 2009.
That's random.
And then
Yeah.
he gets sentenced in 2013 to a year in jail after he pled guilty to embezzlement, perjury, and filing false tax returns. So
Like
nothing
while
like
he was mayor?
No, just he was.
really
I
learned
don't
how to
know
mayor.
actually. I don't know
Mayoring it up.
actually. We'll have to dig into the details, but it seems like pretty like
John Draymond.
low level white collar crime, right?
What a strange
And
connection.
he was sentenced for a year, and then like they let him out to like finish under home confinement with like a bracelet.
But he was the mayor of Glendale also.
And he had to
So
pay all this
strange.
money. I think while he was mayor, yeah.
I mean, that's how you mayor. If you really got a mayor, there's going to be
Apparently, the charges were of embezzling at least $304,000 from 2004 to 2011, just like in his life through the mayorhood.
That was during, before
from a
and after he was
farmer's
the mayor.
market
Oh my
that he
God.
helped run
Oh my God.
before and during his
He
time
was
in
skimming
office.
off of a farmer's market, John Draymond?
Something like that.
Wow.
The Montrose Farmer's Market.
How far we've come from Perfect Strangers being a waiter in Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
So he was just kind of like a low-level crook.
Decent actor. I believed his lines when he handed the menu to Larry and said, "They're in your hands, sir. They're right here."
Anyway,
anyways, enough about John
that
Draymond.
was
What did you think about
the
this
waiter.
episode?
So this was another one of those episodes where like something sparked in my like childhood memory brain.
Yes.
To say along, kind of like some of the chants that have come up, but when he starts going, "Hello, my name is Cole,"
Yes, I remember
that was
that too.
imprinted
I
in
was
my
like, oh
brain
God, I
from
remember
before.
This. I remember this from when I was a kid.
I mean, look, we already talked about all the like little things that don't make sense and the weird inception memory loss thing, but I actually found this quite enjoyable. I think the stunt of falling down the stairs
that was great.
fun to watch and impressive.
The "Hello, my name is" and the prom story.
The prom story alone was
hilarious.
so
Two bright spots.
funny.
Yes.
Don't even think about asking me.
I really did. I enjoyed this episode. And,
There were some good key moments here, some gems.
and the dinner had some crazy over the top stuff
and
that was
like
hilarious.
it didn't make sense, but that's only because we're being annoying about it. Like
super nitpicky.
they did enough to make the story to lay out what the stakes were. I mean, sure, they didn't explain why and like why she's so unreasonable, but we get the point. She's a stuffy, fancy woman who like doesn't tolerate these fools for her daughter.
Yeah.
And so the stakes are they're very concerned with impressing her. And then he has this accident that's making him act goofy, and that's not good. And there's only one night that they can meet, and it's tonight.
Yeah, and then she's off to the airport. Well, no, like I said earlier, it took this long. It took 6.5 years. It took, after repeating a plot already once, for them to give us this amnesia trope that every TV show has done.
Right. Do you remember any other key amnesia episodes? Probably Happy Days had one. It's probably the Fonz or something.
Nothing sticks out, but everyone has had one. Was there one? I don't know. Yeah.
Everyone. It was an easy like soap opera thing.
It's just one of the ones. Soap opera. Every episode, people are losing their memory and know what's going on. It's happening on some shows now to this day. But it is a trope that is still used. It's still a thing. It's like a little gimmick. So, but it's just
does
funny
that
that it took
actually
them this
happen?
long.
Have you ever met anyone in real life that had short-term
I was trying to
amnesia
think about
from
that.
like
From a fall or a
bonk on
bump.
the head?
Similar to quicksand. I don't know if this
I don't
is true.
think it's true.
I don't know if this actually happened.
I've known people who have suffered concussions and serious ones, but I don't think
But
memory
have
loss.
you ever met anyone with temporary amnesia?
I don't know. I know people who've had like head injuries, and so they don't have memories from not like short term or temporary like this. but
Here's
they just,
how you
like,
know
have.
it's a trope. I only know it from television, and movies.
Mhm.
I never met anybody in real life. I'm sure they did it on
Temporary
ER.
amnesia.
There had to be a couple of amnesia. I don't know.
I don't remember.
The House. It's got to be. There must have been an episode of House, but
all in all,
gave it to
look,
us.
yeah, we found all the problems with it, and like the the restaurant had the wrong name, but
yes, the restaurant. What is the restaurant's
did
name?
enjoy this.
I did also.
There were a couple of times where I like belly laughed
There was
really
laugh out loud.
hard.
There were LOL moments for sure.
LOL moments
Absolutely.
for sure.
What did our listeners think, sister?
All righty, let's
should be
see. First up, we have listener cousin Pam Hitchcock. She writes, I was apprehensive about an amnesia episode, but they turned that trope on its head.
Yeah.
This episode sparkled.
Yay.
We had seamless balculary chemistry, witty dialogue, physical comedy, Meposian ranting, and a plethora of Balkyisms.
Good point.
We also had a Meposian food joke.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. This is what I love those episodes.
We have some more continued commentary about these mullets that are growing on their heads. She writes, those mullets are taking on a life of their own. Listen, it was 1991.
It was a style at the time.
She writes, Jennifer was a complete stranger to Larry at the restaurant, but he was really handsy and smarmy. Yes,
So
it didn't make
the
sense.
amnesia made him a toxic man, aggressive. I don't know. Made him a bro.
And she says, I really can't find anything to pick at, so I'm happily giving this episode 10 Bibi Babkas.
Wow. Perfect
That's her
score
positive score.
from Cousin Pam. That's fantastic. I mean, I largely agree. Like you said, enjoyed it.
Next up, we have listener cousin John Adama.
What does he have to say? Yes.
Let's see what John Adama has to say. He says, I'll say it again. Larry and Jennifer deserve each other.
Yeah.
Larry is actively suffering a medical emergency, and Mrs. Lyons won't understand. Is she that cruel? That's what I kept thinking,
I can't tell her you
but,
probably have a concussion. She'll think you're less of a man.
Right. I can't tell her you've had a tragic accident.
Mom,
she won't
he's
approve.
been in an accident, mother.
She won't approve of you marrying me.
How dare you marry a person who's accident
like
prone?
we said, that's a fair point. We made it too, but they just needed to set up these.
This is called sitcom logic.
These stakes, superficial as they are.
It's called sitcom plotting.
Right. And cousin John writes, I like how in the previous episode, Larry's situation reminds Balky of an old sitcom, but amnesia caused by a knock on the head has been done on TV for decades already.
Yep.
Makes me wonder if they should have made this story into a Honeymooners tribute.
Right,
I'm sure there was a Honeymooners
It's
episode about
timeless.
amnesia. He writes, to be honest, I wasn't looking forward to watching this one. Amnesia episodes are almost always one-note jokes. At least they're better than character discovers a twin episodes.
We've had that.
We have had that. But he says, but even though the stakes are preposterous with Mrs. Lyons, they make this story much more interesting. Agree. I love episodes where where Marklin Baker really shines, but it almost always means we get less Balky. The vaudevillian, my name is Larry Appleton. Hello. Dialogue got funnier to me each time they did it.
Hilarious.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, they just kept repeating.
Cousin Larry Appleton.
How are you?
Fine. Hello.
And he writes, much like us, he writes, to my surprise, I found this to be delightfully silly, though a little light on Balky, a solid B. Balky had some good lines in this.
He did. Wait, I'm going to put this in. I don't know if they're going to be able to hear this. If you're hearing barking in the background, listeners, because we're fostering a couple of puppies.
Puppies, they're very cute.
They're very cute. Okay, continue. I just wanted to explain if I don't take it out of the audio.
So Cousin John gave it a solid B, which is a good score from Cousin John.
Absolutely.
I would even score it a little higher, like maybe a B plus.
A minus.
A minus.
Really. I mean, for this season, it kind of
for this
stands
season,
out.
it was good.
Yeah,
it was very enjoyable.
Did everybody like this episode?
No.
Get out of the city.
On the other side is listener cousin.
What are we talking about?
Okay.
Is listener cousin Whitney Smith, who is confused about why everyone loves this episode so much. She does not. She said it had some funny moments, but nothing I would do the dance of joy over. She didn't laugh. You didn't laugh at the prom story?
13.
Anyway, just she wasn't a fan.
All right.
She points out that we have now met both of Jennifer's parents. Remember when we met her father?
When did we meet him?
The golf episode. Larry tries to impress
By learning golf.
Impress her father by letting him win at golf, but then Balky turns out to be
he's
like
got that crazy style.
He does the Meposian knock, 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 knock.
Yes, and swings the thing. Yes, that episode titled
Balky turns out being so good at golf.
Hello, Ball, which was a another homage to the Honeymooners when Ralph and Ed practiced golf, and
which also points to her parents being stuffy and snooty and
one of them
unreasonable because the only way to impress her, her dad would completely hate him if
he didn't play golf.
If he beat him at golf,
but he becomes a good winner in that one. And then her mom is so bougie that
they both
is not like
bougie.
the heart surgeon or the congressman or the baseball player.
And then golf, anyway.
And then golf.
So cousin Whitney Smith points this out. They're bougie and stuck up.
Yeah.
But she also questions, is Mrs. Lyons that insensitive to someone falling down and injuring themselves?
Why not just tell her what happened? He's had an accident.
All in all, it was not an episode that Whitney Smith, cousin Whitney Smith cared for.
Everything hits different for everybody. Well, it's good. It's good to have different opinions.
Don't be ridiculous was not said in this episode.
Of course I have. Don't be ridiculous. ridiculous.
I did see Dimitri's photo on the bookshelf
Yes,
back there for a
it's
split
still there.
second. Still there. No actual Dimitri, but just the photo.
Okay, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but now let's talk about Perfect Strangers today. Could we redo this episode today? I mean, we touched on it in the sense that, like, does short-term memory... We don't see memory loss on TV these days so
No,
much. It was more of an older trope.
I feel like the whole thing is pretty timeless. Like, you could do this
do it.
whole thing again today with the tumble and you lost your memory and meeting the mom. Like, all of it is
Meeting the
still
mom.
is all
It's a little
still.
unrealistic to think they've been engaged for a while now and he still hasn't met his... Well, I guess it happens.
They
but-
just got engaged earlier this season, but they've been dating for years. Never met the mom. But really, this is what is dated? Nothing. Like, you could still do
He
this.
fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
Oh, the carpeted restaurant is a little dated, but
The restaurant wouldn't be carpeted. But you could still have the same kind of fun shenanigans with filling in, trying to pretend you know what's going on. It's time. It's ageless. Everybody.
Balky would maybe like show pictures on a phone, like show her the Instagram to jog his memory.
I did have that one thought. It's like, what if
Yeah.
they had a phone? Be like, look, this is you. This is Jennifer. Here's a video of
To
you. You
jog
can
his
learn everything
memory.
about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
He could look up his own social media history.
Or he could have AI feed him answers in his
Please tell me
in
who.
his
Oh my
ear.
god! Yeah, in an earpiece. ChatGPT, tell me who I am.
Yeah.
No, you would then. But that's the thing. These days, you would just go log into your account or go pull up your
Or then
Facebook page.
what if AI gave him like facts about a different Larry Appleton?
It was
who
the wrong
like
Larry
a
Appleton.
convicted murderer or something.
That's a good tweet. That's a good
That would be
tweak. That's a
fun.
fun tweak.
Yeah, so pretty high PS
But you
today's
could really
score
have a lot
as
of
it
fun with
was, or you can update it a little
I
bit.
think writers will continue to give us amnesia episodes for all time.
I can't think of a modern
Okay, hold
one,
on.
but-
There is
yeah.
a website that can tell us.
Oh, the TV tropes?
Yes. Okay, just a quick list of shows that have done this: The Addams Family, Babylon 5, The Charles in Charge, The Dick Van Dyke Show,
Those are all still
Doctor
older,
Who,
like something more modern.
Family Matters. Oh, modern would be
Current day.
well, Batman 66 show also did it. That show Blind Spot, that's a little more modern. Full House did it. Ghost Whisperer, Gilligan's Island, Green Acres,
Of course, Gilligan's Island.
I Dream of Jeannie,
These are still that era
Get
of
Married with Children,
still.
Monk.
Okay, Monk's a
Monk's
little more.
newer. Power Rangers.
No.
That show Sledgehammer. Oh, Star Trek. Oh, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is a new
Well, of
Star Trek
course,
show.
they're
on
losing memory
Paramount.
in Star Trek. They're in
They
space.
did a amnesia episode.
They're in
True
space.
Blood.
Okay. True Blood did it? Okay.
Listen, they're going to do it. They're going to continue to do it.
All
It's
right.
been done in so many things, in video games, in all forms of storytelling. Books. How many books are there about people who lose their memory and then they've got to figure out that they got to catch a serial killer or something? That's like every book.
Okay. All right. Well, pretty high PS Today score then, as is, or you can update it with some fun twists.
Yeah, there's like, for example, I'm watching the show called Gen V, which is a spinoff of The Boys, which is like the superhero show. And in this latest episode, everybody gets their mind wiped and they can't remember.
Oh,
and
that's
somebody does it.
different than like bonking your head amnesia. That's like mind wiping, like Black Mirror stuff.
Amnesia specific. Here's some more Third Rock from the Sun, Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Okay.
Get Smart, classic trope. We're still looking for newer ones, but these
Missed
are
it by that much.
Laverne and Shirley,
Schlemiel Schlemazel.
Miami Vice, Quantum Leap.
Oh.
Every episode is an
a memory
amnesia
loss. Yeah.
story.
No, but he's not amnesia because he knows he's like Larry amnesia. He knows
Yeah.
what the situation is. He just doesn't know.
He doesn't
who
know what he
is
has to do,
or what he
except
has to
in the new reboot of Quantum Leap, which actually
I heard it's not good.
I love it.
Oh, you
I
do?
love it. It's
I gotta start watching it. I loved that show.
It's in the same universe, and in the beginning, when he jumps and they find him, he doesn't remember why he jumped. He doesn't remember who he's engaged to. He doesn't remember who he works with. So he is in this leap with a hologram trying to help him, but he doesn't remember anything before the leap.
He doesn't remember the situation.
No, but
doesn't.
slowly as the episode and the season goes,
So it
he
has to
starts
be explained to him every
Yes.
time that he's a
Yes.
scientist.
Not every time. As every jump goes on, more of his background.
That wasn't
before
in the
jump.
original. In the
Yeah.
original, he just like always
You
knew.
know what a brilliant thing they've done in this reboot is they brought in a character that Sam Beckett had jumped into in the first season, and you start to hear the perspective of the person he jumped into, like how what they
cool.
remember. And when they got back.
I read bad reviews of this show, but now I want to watch it because I loved the original one.
I really like. It's got a romance story. It's got heart. It's got. It's exciting.
Okay.
It's good. It's good network sci-fi. Like I've been enjoying it. The second season just started.
What network is it on?
It's on NBC, and you can stream it on Peacock. The second season just started, and like a crazy thing happened between the first and second.
All right, I gotta catch up.
I watched it because I love the original Quantum Leap.
I gotta catch up. Yeah.
Al, of course.
Scott Bakula.
Sesame Street does an amnesia thing with Big Bird.
Oh, Big Bird gets amnesia?
Yeah, Starsky and Hutch. Everybody, I'm telling you, man.
All right.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
All right. Well,
anyways, I don't have
today's score is good.
Very high.
All right. So all in all, most of us enjoyed this episode. And that's this episode. Next week.
Oh boy, join us for a very
Balky
dated
spits some verses.
Balky is spitting
in
bars
a very early 90s style.
It's Perfect Strangers has decided to embrace the new form of music known as hip hop, which was fairly new, but still been around for a couple of years. Commercial. Hip hop gets commercial.
It's going to be an interesting episode.
It's something, all right. Can't wait.
I can't wait to see what our thoughts are next week.
In the meantime, listener, you can support the show in another way by buying us a virtual coffee. It's a little virtual tip jar on our website, danceofjoypod.com/support. Click the buy us a coffee button. Everything goes back into the show. We appreciate all the support our awesome listeners have given us so far.
That's right. You can also show us some love by visiting our website, danceofjoypod.com. From there, you can hop over to press all the links, hop over to any of the places where we stream our website, and you can go there and like and subscribe and rate and review Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., etc. You can also, from that main website page, press a little button and leave us a voice message. Tell us, have you ever had temporary amnesia or known anyone who has?
Well, would you remember if you did? That's my question.
You would remember after you got your memory back.
I remember not remembering that I didn't remember. Remember?
Is temporary amnesia a real thing? I guess it can be. Or you can send us an email at danceofjoypod@gmail.com. You can also check us out on any of our social media sites. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But Imran, what is the most important thing our listeners should do?
That is, make sure your iPhone password is very easy to guess, because when you lose your memory, you're not going to remember the password, and you want it to be very simple. Well, you could use your face.
You can use your face.
Always keep a little written piece of paper with your entire life history in your back pocket for just in case.
In case you get temporary amnesia.
You get a bonk on the head. No, the most important thing, share the show, listener, with fans of 80s, 90s TV, fans of nostalgia.
Fans of short-term memory loss.
Fans of... what were we talking about?
Wait, have we met?
Well, hey, a microphone. What am I doing?
Share the show with a friend. Word of mouth goes a very long way. It really helps us out, and we would appreciate it.
And one last recommendation. You want to watch an amazing movie about temporary amnesia? I forget. I went Memento from Christopher Nolan. Will drive you crazy. You got to watch it forwards and backwards, and then watch it twice.
I remember seeing that when it came out.
It's very good and very confusing, but just tell a friend. Not that it's confused
about everything.
Yeah.
And now we are so happy.
Now we are so happy. We do the dance of joy.
Hey, 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 hey.